Okay. Okay, well, it's straight up 7, so you shake your head when I'm good. Big one. Speak into the big night tonight, too, guys.
Tell you what, I've got more correspondence
Yeah,
from this one than any I've ever had.
we agree. I want to call to order the meeting of the Board of Commissioners for February 11th, 2021 for the town of Mint Hill, North Carolina. We do have a quorum present this evening. I'm going to ask Dale Darton, Mayor Pro Tem, to lead us in invocation, please.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, Heaven, thank you so much for allowing us to gather here again, dear Lord, as we conduct town's business. Please watch over us and guide us and give us the wisdom for the decisions that we make for this town. We ask for all these things in your precious name. Amen.
Ask if everybody would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item number 3, addition, deletion, or arrangement of agenda items. I have one change that I want to make under 5D. 5D was a letter filling us in and giving us information on the adoption of the 2020 all hazard plan, which is item number 8. So I'm going to move item number 8 in to go along with 5D under the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that has been moved. Item number 4, approval of the minutes of the December 10th, 2020 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Now we're down to item number 5, the consent agenda. Accept the December and January tax collectors report. Approve temporary construction easement for B. Fiorenza Psi Mint Hill LLC. Appoint Angela Mills as the Mint Hill member of the Arts and Science Council. D. Approve Mecklenburg County letter and consider adoption of the 2020 all hazard plan resolution. E. Accept Bartlett Road for town maintenance from NCDOT. And F. Accept November and December treasurer's reports and financials.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Item number 6. Public hearing on ZC 20-10 filed by NVR Incorporated to allow a conditional district rezoning from R to RDO-A CD to allow a residential development located at parcel numbers 135-381-67, 10524 Lawyers Road, parcel 135-381-66, 10600 Lawyers Road, and parcel number 135-381-64, 10616 Lawyers Road, and parcel 135-381-65, 10608 Lawyers Road. I believe the applicant is present this evening. They're on the way. And they're coming over from the safe room. They're on their way. If I could ask you to step to the mic over here, state your name and address for the record, please, and then you have the floor, sir.
We okay, mask off?
You can take it off.
I'm Scott Glover with Ryan Homes. Address is 365 Delberg Street in Davidson, North Carolina.
Thank you.
Good to go?
Proceed, sir.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you, all of you, Mayor and Commissioners, for having us here tonight. We've had plenty of discussions with you over the last year or so about this project. Thank you to John and Brian as well for all the feedback and all the meetings we had. And then thank you to all the neighbors who we've spoken to over the course of the last year in getting us to this point right now. As I said a minute ago, my name is Scott Glover. I work for Ryan Homes. I've been a Ryan Homes employee for approximately 30 years. And we're here to present to you with the project that you just mentioned on the property that the Helms family owns on Lawyers Road on the parcels you just spoke about. Is this my, is there a remote or something? Or do I just?
Yeah, let me.
Sorry. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so what we're here to present to you tonight is a community we are calling Hillgrove. It's on approximately 25 acres, as I mentioned a minute ago. It's owned by the Helms family. They live right here in Mint Hill. And the property that you see here on the map, we've outlined next door. You have the Traditions at Lawyers Glen directly next door, and also adjacent to the property is Brighton Park. To the right of this map that you see, and then to the left, we're at Mint Hollow is the name of that community. We're asking the town to consider our proposal to incorporate this into the downtown overlay district, which would allow us to build the townhomes that you see on this property on the map right here. So NVR Ryan Homes has been involved with Mint Hill for the last couple decades. Probably a bunch of you are familiar with some of the projects that we've done, such as Stonebridge at Mint Hill, Meadows at Mint Hill, Heathfield, and most recently Summerwood and Mint Hill Commons. Most of those have been single-family detached homes. We started building townhomes over at Mint Hill Commons here in the last year, and that project has since finished. Up on the slideshow are a couple of the photos of both Mint Hill Commons. You'll see the patio homes we built up there in the left-hand corner, and then a couple other interior and exterior shots of some other communities that we've built over the years. So why townhomes in this location? So a lot of this comes back to what we've learned at Mint Hill Commons. At Mint Hill Commons, a lot of our buyers came from Mint Hill. In fact, 48% of our buyers that bought in Mint Hill Commons came from either Mint Hill or Matthews. So they're a local buyer who liked the area, who most of them told us that they were downsizing or they were looking to get rid of the maintenance of an older single-family home, both in the landscaping and in the maintenance of the actual home. That's the benefit of a townhome. So the townhome, as you know, is going to be maintained by the homeowners association. The customer will have to do nothing to the exterior of the house that they don't want to do. If they want to plant flowers and that type of thing, sure, they can do things like that. But the mowing, the painting, the replacing the roof, every home in there is going to be maintained meticulously. And you're not going to have to worry about if you go away on vacation that your lawn's not going to get mowed and the neighbors are going to drive around and you get a yard that's, overgrown at that point. So that's the benefit of a townhome community. That's why we wanted to build another townhome community in Mint Hill. Why this particular location? When we were looking for new properties to to continue on with our Mint Hill Commons neighborhood, we looked around Mint Hill and we saw that there was already a neighborhood next door, the Traditions, which you're probably familiar with, which, again, well-maintained. It's a very nice community. We looked at the density that community had. It has about just under 5. It's 4.8 homes per acre. We did some work with our engineer and came up with a community next door that has 5.2. So it's roughly about the same density, a little bit more. Plus we have approximately 40% common open space. So there's a lot more open space on the map, which you saw a little bit earlier. Once Peter comes in here, who is our engineer, he'll be able to talk a little more technically about that particular site. But we thought this is a community that would work. It would mesh in well with, again, adjacent to Mint Hill, the Traditions and Brighton Park, both of whom have townhome product in the neighborhood right next door. So what we're willing to do. So over the course of the last year, when we've had conversations with both the neighbors and you folks here at the town, we've talked about a couple different things that is important to the town. The first and foremost thing of being in the downtown overlay district is to be a pedestrian-friendly type of community. Today, when you're in Brighton Park and you're walking on the walking trail, you run into a dead end. So you're walking for a little while. It's a beautiful walking trail. Eventually, you just come to a dead end. You have to do a U-turn and turn around. So one of the great things that we're looking to incorporate into our site is extend that trail. We're looking to add a bridge over Irvin's Creek, come over to our property, have access from the folks that would live in our neighborhood to access that trail, as well as extending that trail over to Apple Creek. So that's going to allow folks that are over in the Apple Creek area who today may or may not walk to the town because they have to walk up to the sidewalk and come up Lawyers Road. This is going to allow them an extra opportunity to have some walkability to all the shops and all the restaurants and all the great things that are in downtown Mint Hill. So that's one of the things that, again, those are the discussions that we've had here with the town. Those are the discussions we've had with some of the neighbors. And that seems to be something that would be a real positive to the neighborhood. Our proposal has about 2,000 feet of added greenway. So roughly, just under a half a mile of extra greenway. And again, those are going to link into sidewalks that are already there too. So this is going to be able to create an area for people to make loops instead of running into dead ends on the trail where it is today. The other thing that we've heard that is very important is the traffic light, the traffic issues at True Light Church Road and Lawyers Road. As you know, there's been a warrant. The DOT, the North Carolina Department of Transportation, has warranted that intersection should have a traffic light. Today, there is no funding for it. It's not on DOT's project list. So given the funding issues that the Department of Transportation is having these days, there's no telling when that would be done, if not done by a private entity. So given the discussions that we've had, let me back up 1 second. We looked up some of the crash data statistics that are available, and these are just what's reported. There's an average of 3.4 crashes at that intersection every year. So roughly 1 a quarter is what we have there. So whether we build in this community or not, traffic in Mint Hill is going to continue to increase. Probably me. I mean, again, statistics would probably tell you there's probably going to be more accidents in the future than there are today. Additionally, you have some residents that live on that side of Lawyers Road. You have some residents that live in St. Ives that are taking their life in their own hands if they want to walk across the street to get over to the sidewalk. It's already on Lawyers Road, and come on over to Brighton Park and some of the other areas of retail and restaurants that are in downtown Mint Hill. So what we're willing to propose to do as part of this subdivision approval is we will install a traffic light. We will install a crosswalk that'll be triggered by, everybody's seen these where you push a button and the light will turn red and allow the pedestrians to walk across the street. We think that's a big deal from a safety standpoint, both from a vehicle issue and from a pedestrian issue. So between the greenway and the traffic light, these are things we are willing to do. We'd like to do. We want to be a good partner with the town. There's a lot of, some of the complaints and some of the concerns that we've heard from some of the neighbors are the amount of density and the amount of growth that there is in Mint Hill. And that's true. But this is a place where people want to live. There's a lot of by right subdivisions that are being built today. But whenever it's a by right subdivision, as you know, other than traffic improvements that have to be done with turn lanes and that type of thing to turn into their subdivisions, I don't really have to do a whole lot else in addition outside of that area. So what we're willing to do is to go outside of our area, give a benefit that everybody's going to enjoy. The greenway, the traffic light is something that everybody's going to enjoy. Everybody's going to benefit from. So we're excited about this community. We're glad that you're here to consider that. Peter's going to come in and talk about some of the technical issues and highlights of our proposal, and be happy to answer any questions at the end of the presentation.
Yeah, come on. Peter, if you would give your full name and address when you get to the mic, and then you can proceed, sir.
Yes, sir.
My name is Peter Tadgy. I'm with ESP Associates, and my address is 2731 Creekbed Lane, Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm here on behalf in representation for NVR Ryan Holmes as it results of the petition that you folks are hearing about this evening. So just the space bar, John, is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate your consideration, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. We're very excited about this, we'll call it project initiative. It's been in play for quite some time. Everybody's heard about it. You're going to hear quite a bit about it tonight. When I say everybody, I'm just talking the neighborhood, commissioners, Mr. Mayor, staff, and then certainly all the agencies that have been involved. We've communicated with NCDOT. We've communicated and made submittals to Louisa, which is your technical partner in the plan review process. We'll talk a little bit about that as it relates to the approved stormwater plan. You're going to hear a lot about stormwater, I think, tonight from some of the folks. And then certainly Meck County Parks and Greenway. We've had a lot of discussions with them. I know your town planner has as well, talking about greenways, where they go, how much they cost, how wide they should be, all the things that people enjoy. And people love greenways in Mint Hill. I come here and everybody's out walking, obviously not on a cruddy day like today, but people like to walk, and you'll hear a little bit about that as well. So I'm going to talk about the regulatory process as it relates to the project. I'm not going to get in too much on the technical side. Your staff has done a great job reviewing the submittals that we've made for both the stormwater submittal, so the PCO plan, the sketch plan, and now the zoning submittal that's on the table. But I do want to sort of start off talking about NVR's efforts to reach out to, I call stakeholders, neighbors. And my understanding in talking with John Horde is that the neighborhood meeting process is not required, but it's strongly recommended. We totally agree with that. We've had several meetings. We had one back in October, and good gosh, remember the power outage. Power went down the day of the meeting. We're going to do this great virtual meeting. We had all these people calling, and I have power, I don't have power. So just as a way to make sure that we were properly communicating, we held the meeting. Some folks were able to dial in, others weren't. We did follow up, and we scheduled another one for about 2.5, 3 weeks later. So we call that neighborhood meeting number 2. We had probably 15 people, mostly immediate adjoiners, who dialed in on the virtual platform and asked questions. So there was a pretty good exchange. We filed a report that's in your files of what the issues were and what some of the responses were as it relates to the plans that are before you. We continue to receive input, and so we had a third meeting. We talked about, should we meet at a restaurant? Should we do virtual? And then kind of a day before, they said, let's just meet out on site. So we popped up a tent and went out there on the Helms property. at 4:30 in the afternoon. And it was pretty much the HOA and committee members from the Traditions development next door. And we kind of got a lot of good input. We got some, met our neighbors. We had some good discussions. It was pretty useful. Scott's done a great job talking about NBR and some of their performance, their prior projects. I think the important thing is that he has earned the town's trust, and that's what we've been working at with the neighbors, is trying to earn their trust as well. There seems to be a lot of distrust, and I don't think it has anything to do with NBR. I think it just has to do with prior events. You know, I call them the sins of the past. A lot of questions about flooding and traffic and other things that were here way before Scott and I ever came to town. So we went through pretty hard effort to try to communicate and explain to them the town is prepared for these things. They've revamped their rules. They have a UDO. They've adopted the county PCO standards for stormwater. So things that are happening around them or happening in older type subdivisions won't happen on this site because your rules don't allow it in terms of the amount of stormwater that has to be maintained. And look at the size of the pond. And if you compare that pond to any surrounding development, maybe Brighton Park might be close, which is 10, 12 years back. Certainly the neighbors don't have that kind of facility, either east or west or north. So we talked a lot about stormwater, that pond that's shown there in blue up in the corner of the property. It hasn't been serviced for many, many years. It floods, it goes up on their property. We're in total agreement. That needs to be serviced or it needs to be drained. And we've asked them, we say, we'll do either one. So the idea is trying to earn their trust, trying to communicate about your rules and try to communicate about good development. And this is good development. This project, it meets your rules. It meets your rules for unit orientation, open space, stormwater, circulation. We ran the fire model to get fire trucks, emergency throughout the project. So it meets all the requirements. We went back and forth with NCDOT on the access points. Why don't you have another one? We put in a second one for fire access. We had another right-of-way, if you recall, an earlier plan. And then there was sort of a tit for tat. DOT wanted a median in the middle of the road, and the town said no median. So it's been a juggling act to work with all the agencies and come up what we feel is a pretty great plan that addresses a lot of these requirements and a lot of these requests. The neighbors are an important ingredient to that, and we've been working hard to try to communicate that. When you talk about meeting your rules and requirements, you guys have a lot of plans. You have the land use plan, you had a retreat last weekend, I'm sure that came up. You have the downtown master plan, you have the greenways plan, you have a pedestrian plan. So those have all been superimposed up here on the screen, and you can kind of see the relationship of the property. I guess in the corner there, the left-hand corner is the zoning plan, the current plan. It shows the downtown overlay, the boundary. It shows our site. It shows our neighbors. Currently, we're all zoned R. We're asking to expand that boundary line. There has been discussion through the planning process that I guess you guys are in for the new land use plan. Does this downtown area overlay boundary get changed? I think some of your other planning documents suggest, oh, heck yeah. And it talks about pedestrian components. It talks about, this is right out of your downtown Mint Hill overlay plan. And it talks about how walkable neighborhoods are important, pedestrian activity, obviously higher density, attached housing, like the Traditions, like what NBR is proposing, is going to be more indicative of that type of development. And these are right out of your planning document. It shows the desirable distances for these types of developments within a 5-minute walk or a 10-minute walk, being so many linear feet from the core, which is Mint Hill Matthews Road or Pineville Matthews Road and Lawyers Road. This is your PED plan. Talks a lot about pedestrian improvements. How do we achieve that? Well, greenways is obviously a very important component to allow people to walk all the way from Apple Creek Drive through our property on a publicly dedicated greenway and get into Brighton Park. go buy some groceries, ride their bike, push a stroller. I've heard comments about golf carts, make sure the bridge is big enough so we can get a golf cart across. It's an important ingredient to your guys' growth. It's what you have set out and told staff and the public and through your policies and plans. These are the things that we want to see. There's been discussion about the Helms property being single-family detached homes, half-acre lots, acre lots. Well, ironically, that's not what these plans say. It doesn't encourage that kind of development within the context and the radius and the relationship. This talks about the greenway and the green necklace. I've highlighted a portion there. Our site is right along a major greenway. So to lot that up and put in backyards and not let people traverse that area, they're not going to donate land for a greenway. They're not going to build a greenway. So the greenway initiative idea just kind of goes away. That's not what your planning documents promote. Your planning documents promote pedestrian walkability, slightly higher densities as you get away from the core, and allowing people to interact. Yeah, there's a lot of traffic on the road. Well, if I can walk to the grocery store, that's how many cars, less trips a day they're going to go out and be traveling on Lawyers Road and the main highway. We've talked about pedestrian friendly. It's all in relationship to your downtown core. It's in relationship to the development that's been occurring and happening, restaurants, bars, shops, encouraging people to be able to utilize these facilities without having to get in their car and drive to them. This is the zoning map with the pedestrian overlay from the Men Hill Down Here Master Plan kind of superimposed on there. And you can see how it relates. What does this tell me? It tells me that the core is going to grow over time. There are certain areas that you have planned for that are going to be more growth. And it's not going to be single family acre lots like you see out in the more remote areas. That's not what your planning documents tell us. We want to do what we're being told. We're rule followers. Neighbor friendly. We want to be neighbor friendly. We've talked with the neighbors extensively. We've gotten to know them. We've been in their homes. They've asked us over. We've stood on their decks and their porches and looked at the relationship to see the buffer between the two projects. You're going to hear about density tonight. We're too dense. We're too dense. We're high dense. Our neighbors are pretty much almost as high dense as we are. They're at 4.8. We're showing 5.2. It's within a little less than a half a unit per acre difference. We showed this to them. They were skeptical. It's got the town approval stamp on it. The idea of the communication is we're a lot like each other. The difference is our project's going to be constructed to a higher standard. The streets are going to be wider. Stormwater controls are more indicative. So project information, Scott talked a little bit about this. Transportation improvements, you mentioned the stoplight. There's also going to be full frontage improvements to mitigate traffic. What's the big holdup when you're driving down Lawyers Road? When someone's got to turn left, everybody stops and everybody stacks up. Well, we're putting in a left turn lane with several hundred feet of storage, a right turn lane into the westernmost entrance to mitigate and alleviate those kinds of concerns and problems. Open space, we're well in excess of 40%. We haven't graded the site, so we don't know exactly what areas are going to be possibly compromised. But with the stream buffers, the open space areas that are being shown, it's far more open space than a lot of the surrounding development that you see. We talked about the Greenway initiative, how that's in your plans, it's in your policies. It's something the town has said, we embrace this, we want to see this. And now you have a developer who's coming along and saying, I agree. I want to provide a great project and I want to build these for the town and dedicate them to the town. And we're hearing in some instances from stakeholders, we want single family detached lots. Well, those two don't go together. And that's kind of the discussion I think we're going to hear tonight, something we're going to take up at the planning board on Monday and hopefully discuss with you all further next month. Buffers, stream buffers, large 70-foot landscape buffer along the main road, buffers to adjacent development, both the single family and the attached, the east and the west. Townhomes, I said, the plan meets your requirements. We've done everything your code requires us to do in terms of how homes are oriented to the public street or to open space, close areas, greens, things that are required. The rules that you set forth and said, hey guys, if you want to do this kind of project, these are the things you need to consider. And we said, yeah, you're right. Parking, we heard a lot about parking from the adjacent neighbors. Apparently they have a parking problem. Well, we have a bunch of parking. We have over 260 spaces. We've got almost 50 visitor spaces. There's driveway spots outside of the garages, 2-car garages in every unit. We don't believe parking is going to be a huge issue in our project. Stormwater, there's an approved PCO plan. It's in the file. We shared it with the neighbors. We actually gave them copies of those plans. We explained to them what your regulations require as it relates to stormwater runoff, treatment, things that some of the older school developments either weren't required because they were pre-PCO or they're exempt because of the type of development. Transportation, we just talked about that. We were not required to do a traffic study. We fell under the threshold for what your requirements. We said, oh, heck yeah, we're going to do a traffic study so we can communicate appropriately with the agencies, with the neighbors, with staff about traffic. We did a technical memorandum, and that's been published, shared, and submitted as part of the rezoning petition. It talks about the various improvements that are going to be provided as a way to mitigate traffic. We're taking care of what we believe is the impacts that we're going to be providing on the roads. The homes, attractive, well-styled, alley loaded, fronted to the street. Again, architecturally, in high integrity with architecture. Again, meet your requirements from a physical, vertical design standpoint. Amenities, outdoor spaces, places for people to gather. The greenway connection, there will be, I'll call them private little connector greenways for the residents, and then it'll go to the main public greenway, which will provide people for through movement over to Brighton Park. I want to hit this home. Scott talked about it. What are we willing to do? This is a great project. It meets your requirements. It addresses the kinds of things that your planning documents and your policies say, hey, this is what we want to see. In addition to that, these are the kinds of things that we're willing to do as a concession for bringing good development to Min Hill. The stoplight, build a publicly dedicated greenway, a pedestrian bridge over to Brighton Park, and a little less than a half mile of public greenway designed, permitted, installed at the developer's extent. Development pays for infrastructure. We've approached town, we talked about funding strategies, we talked about, I use the term PPP, and your manager said we're not getting involved. There's no PPP. So it's public, but it's privately funded, and it's a partnership. But Scott and NVR are gonna foot the bill for those items. And we're here to answer questions, and we would welcome the opportunity, Mr. Mayor, if we could rebut at the end of the public hearing if there's items that still come up.
No, that's not allowed. We're going to let you make your presentation, let them make their presentation at that point in time.
Yes, sir.
There won't even be any questions this evening. At this point in time, we'll be able to ask those
Totally
when you
understand.
come back to us after you've been to the planning.
Yes, sir.
But I appreciate your presentation.
Yes, sir. I appreciate
Thank you
your
very
time and
much.
your consideration.
We do have some people who have signed up for public comments. Thank you. I didn't know where the signups were. We also have some people who have followed the process and have sent in some public comments that they'd like read into the record. And I'm going to ask our town manager after we've had the people who are personally here this evening to read those into the record, if he would, please. So at this point in time, we're going to call, and I hope I don't mess these names up too bad, but I believe the gentleman's name is Bill Collier.
Do the second name, we'll just have them waiting in the wings.
Yeah, we're going to do Guy Gentile, something like that. Welcome, sir, if you would.
You got the name absolutely right.
Thank you, good. If you'll step up to the microphone and repeat it for me and repeat your address for the record, please. And then you have the floor, sir.
My name is, we can take this off. Thank you, Lord. My name is Bill Collier. I live at 6730 Cinnamon Circle and here Mint Hill, and that's in the Traditions neighborhood. Lived here in Mint Hill now for about a year and 2 months. So kind of the new kid on the block. We moved here, downsized, and we love it. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak regarding this project. Excuse me. I believe you received a copy of the resolution that was passed by our homeowners association opposing, what you're looking at this evening, and also a petition that was circulated through our neighborhood, and there were 69 of our residents that signed that petition, also in opposition. May I suggest, we heard about Mint Hill Commons. Drive over to the Publix parking lot. Go to the far east end, stop and look. Is that what you want to see when you walk out of your front door or your back door? That kind of just tells it like it is. I know that we do not. Some other concerns. We're talking about a traffic light. I don't know if it's going to be helpful whatsoever. If you leave our entrance and come out onto Lawyers, it's 729 feet. When that light turns red, we're never going to be able to get out and make a left-hand turn on Lawyers Road when that's red. The traffic could back up right past our entrance completely. You can never turn a paper fast enough when you want to. Emergency vehicles and responders. My property backs right up against Lawyers Road, so I can tell you how many times emergency vehicles go up and down Lawyers. It is frequently, to say the very, very least. If I may, just this past Tuesday, medic and also a Mint Hill fire truck came into our neighborhood, just 3 doors down from where I live, to take care of a medical problem with one of our residents. They were able to come in, get right down there, stop right in front of that person's home, because we do not, our CCRs do not allow parking on either side. So getting a fire truck into our neighborhood is easy. The proposed CCRs for this new development allows parking on both sides of the street. Tell me, if there's a car on each side of the street, how you're going to get a fire truck down through there. I don't think it's going to happen. Another situation, school buses. They're going to be stopping right there. Yep, there's a place to pull off, supposedly. But whether there's a right-hand turn lane where a school bus would pull off, when it stops, its red flashers come on. It's going to stop traffic in both directions. And if there is less density population, there ain't near as many kids. So they're going to be on and off those buses much quicker. CATS would probably also implement a bus stop just like we have. And with that, I wish to thank you for the opportunity to be here, and it's great to live in Mint Hill.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate your time. If you go out that direction, please, so we can bring the others in the other side. And thank you very much. Kermit McGinnis is. Well, welcome, sir. If you step up to the mic, give us your name and address for the record, please, and you have the floor.
Mayor, members of the committee, my name is Guy Gentili. I live in Traditions at Lawyers Glen. I've been living there 14 years since the community was brand new. I think I was number 4, number 5 that moved into that community. I'm a past president and vice president on the HOA, and I'm here to protest against what's going on. We presented to you earlier a petition for, I think it was 69 people. As I'm talking to you, hopefully you see those 69 people behind me, because it's just not me standing up here. It's 69 people standing up here trying to tell you what we want and what we don't want. The developer, NVR, is trying to put these 25-acre property contiguous to Brighton Park, which is on such a small area where it touches Brighton Park, where you can't even build on it. And what the real crux of it is, they kept on saying tonight there's 130 homes, but they're only building it on 11 acres, not on 25 acres. They're building it on 11 acres. The density changes. It could be called Pittsburgh math, but it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. If you put 130 homes on 11 acres, it's different than putting 130 homes on 25 acres. To me, this is clearly circumventing the zoning, and that's what they're trying to get around for profit. Is profit bad? We're not saying that we don't want nobody built over there, but 130 homes, 260 cars trying to get out of there every day. We've been talking about the way to get to Brighton Park and walk, and I'm sure there's going to be people who are going to walk it. 20 people a day, I'm going to say there's 260 cars going out there every day. Big difference going out Lawyers Road to accommodate the 15 or 20 people that will walk through that particular community. They are just circumventing the voting. Now, we have a problem at TUK. It's a real problem. It's a big problem. And the big problem is that NVR said that they spoke with us. We went to visual meetings with them, and we did meet with the people from there. But they offered no solution for the wetlands and the pond in the back. That wetlands and the pond in the back, first of all, the wetlands have been not taken care of for years. And there's trash, junk, silt, all kinds of things that are in there. And it's going into the pond. Now, this pond is starting to overflow. So this is not a problem that's going to happen. It is happening as we speak. This property is flooding our property. It's getting very close to a brick wall that is out there, which in our reserve study that we done 15 years ago said that this would have to be replaced someday in the tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm telling you, we got water there at this particular time. I think NVR has done a good job, and they've done diligence, but I don't think they've done the due diligence necessary to solve this particular problem. This is a huge problem. And Mayor and members of the board, your decision is not until next week. I ask you before you make that decision to go behind my house or 6830 or 6840, and you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. Today we had a lot of rain. Sometimes we have 2 or 3 days of this. We got a catastrophe back there behind our property, and we may have to sue very soon to take care of this. So I ask you, please, before you go, it's only 2 blocks away, look behind the property. Look back what's there. You'll see what I'm talking about. I'm not just making this up. So I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover at this particular time. So, Mayor, I respectfully thank you for your time and ask that you vote against the rezoning.
Thank you very much, sir. We
You're very
appreciate
welcome.
you coming out this evening. If I could get you to exit that way so we can bring the others in the other
Sure.
door.
Can you
Thank you.
clarify for him when the vote actually is? Sir?
You talk to me, sir?
Yes, sir.
How can I help you?
Just for clarification, the planning board will look at it and bring us a recommendation. They meet next week. We'll be making our decision next month at the Board of Commissioners. meeting.
Okay, well,
Just that you have clarification on the
okay,
timeframe.
well, thank you. I thought it was next week.
No, the Commissioner,
okay.
Commissioner
Thank
Holton
you.
wanted you to know that. Thank you, sir. Welcome. If you'll come into the mic, state your name and address, please, and then you have the floor.
Thank you. Name is Kermit McGinnis, 6840 Cinnamon Circle, and I wear hearing aids. If you have not read the petition that we filed with you, I trust you will.
We have it.
I authored that petition, I wrote it, so I'm fairly familiar with it if you should have any question about it. I think all the points on it are valid, but I want to mention, I'm limited to my time, I understand. So I want to just discuss three of them very briefly, each one of which by itself is sufficient to deny this application. And the first one is, it's spot zoning. Your town attorney can give you an opinion on it, and I'm sure he can research it and give you his opinion. I've done mine too. This development benefits one person and does not benefit anyone else around that area. In other words, it's exactly what the North Carolina courts have decreed to be invalid spot zoning. It puts money in one person's hand, does not benefit anybody else. And I'm not going to go into discussion, but if you read it, when you read the petition, you'll see that discussing. Second thing I want to discuss is the density. This development is the exact opposite of the developments that you have approved for the two neighborhoods that have been discussed tonight. All of those next to the overlay, dense, going out gradually to single family homes. This is the exact opposite. The highest density is furthest from the overlay. And if you will notice, I'm sure, from at least Margaret Wallace and even further than that, all the way out to 485, there is not one multi-level, multi-family dwelling along Lawyers Road, not one. But the thing is, it violates your own procedures in the past. You don't want to set a precedent like this that you're going to have a heck of a time with overcoming in the future when somebody else wants to build not maybe just a 2-story in some places, 3-story in some places, but a 4 or 5 apartment dwelling complex. You don't want to get yourself boxed into a situation like that. Stick to the zoning plans. What you have as your plan, this is a deviation from that plan. And it is, in my opinion, it's a bad decision. The third thing I want to discuss is that the stoplight situation. There have been a few crashes there. They have mentioned people have run that stoplight over into the, across the road. It's a T intersection, as you know. That can be solved very easily by a flashing red light 100 yards up True Light Road, like they have in Matthews and other places. Said, warning, there's a stop sign ahead. You don't need a stoplight there, but that's not the key point. Thing of it is, this stoplight is not part of this development. It doesn't touch their land, has nothing to do with development whatsoever. And the question that comes to mind is why? It could be just a desire to do a public service. If that's true, then if you deny this application, you're going to have a free stoplight there because I'm sure they'll still want to do their public service. But I haven't attended any meetings. I don't know what's been discussed with you. I don't know anything about any of that, but I can only speculate. My guess is if I'm going to spend $150,000 for a stoplight, which they told us at one of the meetings we're throwing in, clearly indicating it's not part of the development, I suspect they're going to want something in exchange. And I suspect that that desire is your approval of this zoning application, which if it did not touch on very narrow touching on the town overlay, you'll never in a million years approve it. So obviously they want something in a change, it appears to me. And I ask you, please, don't let the citizens of Mint Hill make you think that you're giving them a quid pro quo for a stoplight. I think that's embarrassing to the town. It's embarrassing to you people. I don't know what their motive is in volunteering to spend $150,000 unless they want something in exchange. And that's the only thing I know that they may want is signature approving this application. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them if I possibly can.
Thank you very
If not,
much.
I appreciate your time listening to me.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. If I can get you to exit out that door so we can bring the other ones in that door. Get you to
I'm
exit
sorry, I had a
that.
hearing
Can
problem.
I get you to exit that way so that we can bring the other people in around the way?
I'm on my way.
I'm trying to keep every social distancing.
Thank you.
Welcome. If you'd come to the microphone, give us your name and your address, please, and then you have the floor, sir.
Take off my mask, huh? My name is Tim McLaughlin. I live at 10706 Ryan Courtney Square in Lawyers Glen. Good evening, Mayor Simmons and members of the board. I am president of the Traditions at Lawyers Glen's Homeowners Association, which is the development adjacent to the proposed Hillgrove development. I've lived there for 12 years. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you regarding this zoning filed by NCR. We submitted our opposition to the rezoning request in writing with resident signatures previously. Among other things, but not limited to, is we feel there's way too much density for the small area. They say there's 25 acres. They're only going to build on 11 acres. And the proposed townhouses are totally out of character for the surrounding neighborhoods. However, I'm here specifically to address what wasn't covered tonight that I heard. It was the traffic issue. There'll only be one road in and one road out of the development. That's a real problem in our opinion, and should be a concern to the people in the whole neighborhood. Each of the 130 townhouses proposed probably will be purchased by people that have at least 2 vehicles, which means you're going to have 260 vehicles. Lawyers Road is busy now. The proposal to add a left turn lane and a right turn lane will resolve the problem for vehicles entering the development, but it'll be a no help for vehicles leaving the development, especially during the morning rush hour. The proposed traffic light at True Light Church Road is far removed from the proposed entrance to the development. It will stop traffic going from 51 to Margaret Wallace Road at intervals, but will not stop traffic coming from Margaret Wallace going toward the traffic light on Highway 51. The residents there probably will be a working class with kids. And you might have as many as 200 vehicles might be trying to leave the development in the morning rush hours with only one way to get out. I don't see how this is possible. Let me just conclude by saying, I looked at the Mint Hill Commons townhouses, and which is also operated by Hillgrove Development. There are less than half the number that were proposed here. Now, I agree that there are individual residents in that community as well. However, if you notice, there are 4 ways to get, not one, but 4 ways to get out of that development. 3 of them go on to Highway 51, and the other goes on to Lawyers Road. That seems like it's well-planned and works very well. So I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it. If I could get you to exit that way, perfect. You're headed that way, so we can bring them in the other direction. Try to keep this moving. Good evening. If you please step to the mic and give your name and address, please, and then you have the floor.
All right. Good evening. My name's Erin Amelung, and I live at 13444 Cabarrus Station Road in Midland. I'm a former resident of Mint Hill. I was invited to speak this evening from Peter and the folks working with Ryan. I work at McEwen Funeral Home. Some of you may recognize me. I used to live at Brighton Park in Mint Hill, and through speaking to some folks with this community, and somehow or another I got talking to Peter. I was asked to just talk a little bit about why I moved to Brighton Park, why I liked living in Brighton Park. I now live in Midland, but I specifically moved to Brighton Park because I work at McEwen. And I was like, I wanted to live closer to work. I wanted to be in Mint Hill. I moved from Matthews. And most importantly, I was traveling for the company that owns McEwen. I was traveling 3 weeks out of a month. And I didn't want to take care of a house anymore. I didn't want to take care of a yard anymore. And I wanted to be in something easy. And Brighton Park was such a nice community. I used to go there to walk with my friends. And when I lived there, it was wonderful. It was wonderful because I had neighbors that were willing to help me with my dog. I had someone to watch my house. I didn't have to worry about cutting my grass. And I was close to work. I was close to the airport. The one thing I did love also about Brighton Park is just the walking in general. The fact that the entire neighborhood had sidewalks. The greenway is wonderful, but like the other gentleman said, you do end up hitting a dead end on that greenway and you have to turn around and you end up walking that greenway 4 or 5 times to get a decent walk in because it dead ends. So the idea that that greenway could potentially be extended is very exciting because there are so many people that come specifically just to Brighton Park to walk who don't even live there. So to have other neighborhoods in this area where you could walk and have that, I think is amazing. I knew nothing about this development going in prior to a couple weeks ago when I was asked to come and speak, but a townhouse community for me was wonderful. The other thing I will say that worked out wonderfully for me living in Brighton Park was because this is such an area that people want to live. When I told someone I was selling my townhouse, I never even had to list it with a realtor. I literally had someone approach me just from telling a friend that I wanted to sell. That person ended up buying it for their mother, who they moved here from Florida. She was downsizing. So she's this little lady that now lives in my townhouse. And it was so great. And because Brighton Park is such a desirable area, Mint Hill, it afforded me the luxury of moving out of that townhouse and buying 2.5 acres in Midland. So I just loved it. I love being in Mint Hill. I love working in Mint Hill. I love working at McEwen and meeting everybody that I get to meet in Mint Hill. So that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for
You're
your time. If I get you to exit that door, please.
Thank you.
All right, we have some more public comments that were sent in via the internet, and I'm not sure if any came in mail or anything else, but I'm going to ask our town manager to come and ask him to read them as presented, please, so that we can get them in the record.
Donna Creason, 10834 Reed Alexander Lane, Mint Hill. It appears that the number of units will increase the traffic on Lawyers Road significantly. With no traffic light on Lawyers for the residents to enter or exit seems a real safety concern. Also, with the addition of 130 more residents within this area will make it one of the most populous sections within the town. Our neighborhood is also concerned about our property values. Townhomes rarely increase the value of a community, and long-term they decrease in value, which affects the surrounding area. My biggest fear is that this will in time become no different than the apartment complex on Margaret Wallace. Thank you for considering my concerns. This is not the direction I feel is best for our town. Jerry Anderson, 10401 Surrey Court. My name is Jerry Anderson, and I live in the Mint Hollow subdivision on parcel number 135-38114 at 10401 Surrey Court. This letter is in concern for the reasoning file ZC20-10. I live on an open tributary that drains into Irwin Creek. My property is on a public drainage easement with about 100 feet of natural stream bed. This stream bed is about 5 feet deep and about 15 feet wide at the rims, with 48-inch outlet and inlet pipes at the ends. The creek runs full with rain events greater than 2 inches. The inlet pipe is around 20 feet from the rear door of my home. I have also been on the town's maintenance list to replace the deteriorated inlet pipe for about 10 months now. My concern is with all of the storm drainage from Mint Hollow already draining into this parcel and adding fast stormwater drainage from the proposed rooftops, asphalt, and concrete will overwhelm the existing wetland. Has there been a study done to make sure the wetland at the lower end of the proposed project will safely handle the water and get it into Irwin Creek and not back up into Mint Hollow? I worked for NVR for 22 plus years. They are an environmentally conscious company, but accidents do happen during construction. Also, once construction is completed, who will maintain this watershed easement to ensure the safety and value of our homes? The town is not doing a very good job maintaining the drainage easements they already have in place. My home is not in a designated floodplain area, and I want assurances that it will not be in future due to an engineer error in stormwater runoff calculations or an exceptional storm event. My property sits on an elevation line that is part of the proposed water quality pond. This parcel of land would serve the Mint Hill community much better if it was designated as a natural green space and/or park. There is not one in the Lawyers Road area, with the closest one to us on Wheel Grove Road. Thank you for reading my concern. Let me know your thoughts. I will not be attending the meeting on 3/11 due to COVID concerns. William Edelin, 7138 Forest Raider Drive. I would hope that the commissioner uphold the Mint Hill staff report on disapproving this development based on the land use plan designates the site for single-family development with 1 to 2 units per acre and not the 4 to 5 units per acre as proposed. Has there been a study on the effects of 206 cars impact onto Lawyers Road? Having lived in Mint Hill for over 20 years, Lawyers Road during early morning is heavily congestion, causing backup of traffic coming into Mint Hill or heading to Lebanon Road. What will this development do to affect that situation? Has a study been performed to determine what environmental impacts onto Irving Creek from runoff from the development due to construction activities or from the parking of the 206 cars? Is there going to be improvements to the intersection of True Light and Lawyers Road other than by adding a traffic light? Currently, trying to cross Lawyers from either side is dangerous, and there should be other improvements to decrease the dangerous situation. I don't see how adding the light is going to assist cars getting out onto Lawyer Road from the development. I have not seen in the application any mentioning of the quality of the construction or value of the townhomes. I think should this would be a major consideration before this project is recommended. Finally, I hope the commissioners would uphold the recommendation of its own planning commission and disapprove the development as proposed. Catherine Grella, 10625 Lawyers Road. Mayor and Commissioners, I am writing in support of the rezoning application for case ZC 20-10. The proposed development is in the spirit of the downtown overlay district. Given the growth the Charlotte metropolitan area is experiencing, it is inevitable that Mint Hill will attract denser development. The applicant has made provisions to responsibly support the proposed development as it relates to the downtown overlay and downtown Mint Hill master plan by increasing pedestrian connectivity in the area. The applicant has committed to install a traffic signal with a crosswalk at the intersection of True Light Church Road and Lawyers Road. The need for a signal has already been identified, and there have been countless accidents at the intersection, many of which likely go unreported. The applicant's commitment to installing a traffic signal not only benefits their proposed development, but also the existing community that has needed a safe intersection for years now. The crosswalk would connect the neighborhoods along True Light Church Road to the existing sidewalks on the south side of Lawyers Road and to provide a much-needed safe pedestrian crossing to the bus stop on the north side of Lawyers Road. Additionally, the Greenway connection will provide a safe alternative for pedestrians and cyclists to travel to and from downtown, while further linking the area neighborhoods. I strongly believe that the proposed development and added provisions to increase pedestrian connectivity aligns with the downtown overlay district and will add value to the already growing Mint Hill community. Thank you for your consideration of my comments and your commitment to serve Mint Hill. John and Karen Hoffman, 10451 Surrey Court. We are not very excited about your project and feel your plans to turn the farm in our backyard into a development with 130 new homes and potentially 260 new cars into already tight streets impacts our property in large ways. Our home was built in 1984 and backs up to your property, and according to the drawings we have seen, 71 of your prospective units will directly block our view. I work in construction and knew this would eventually happen. Believe me when I tell you it's breathtaking to think about. My wife and I feel life will go on, and this will be the facts. We feel our privacy will be our greatest loss and do not wish to dispute. We do, however, wish if this project were allowed, would your company consider placing a privacy wall along the property border for your residents and our privacy and security? Thank you for considering your neighbors. Last one from Lauren Quillen. Lauren did not put his address, but I know he lives in the Traditions. I strongly oppose this proposed rezoning proposal to change the residentially zoned R property to downtown overlay high density zoning. This request is being made for the financial benefit of the parties involved while at the same time setting a precedent for others to follow. It cannot be said that they are extending the zoning of the city property for even though both pieces will carry the same overlay zoning nomenclature, that is as far as it goes. The city property is all floodplain and a flowing creek where only birds, squirrels, and other animals are allowed to build and develop. This means that the proposed zoning could be considered spot zoning. Mint Hill chose to be incorporated so that the residents could control the direction that the community would grow and develop. We did and do not want high density and unorderly growth. We wanted organized and low density growth. This proposed zoning change does not fall in any plan for the future and betterment of Mint Hill. So I will say again that I strongly oppose this request to rezone the property. That's all.
Thank you. With that being said, that one being the last one read, we will now close the public hearing on ZC 20-10. Now we'll go to item number 7, which is other public comments. Do we have anybody signed up to speak, or did we have any further presented? Thank you very much. I'm getting a no shake over there. Item number 9, other business and council matters. Let me start down there with Commissioner Holton. Do you have anything this evening, sir?
No, sir. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Dalton.
Just thank the staff for a great retreat we had this past weekend.
Mr. Cochran.
Just ditto what you said. We had a good retreat and a lot of good things happening for the future.
Commissioner Long.
Not other than your timely updates during the week that you put on the social media. That helps us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff have anything else out there? All right, with that, first of all, I want to thank Jennifer for being here, keeping us legally in line over there this evening. Thank you for coming, for being here. Also did want to make one announcement, I guess. I want to send our prayers and condolences to Troy Pollard's family. Troy passed away on January the 16th. Troy was the mayor of the town of Mint Hill from 1975 until his retirement in 1991. Beth Hamrick, who was a town employee and worked with Troy for a long, long time, put a real nice letter out that's out there on social media, and I think it does a great job of talking about Troy's leadership during that period of time, and he was very important to the growth and setting the foundation for Mint Hill. So our condolences are with his family. Final item here, we're going to go into closed session following, or we're going to go into closed session now, I guess, to approve the December 10th, 2020 closed session minutes. We do not have any reason to return here with any announcement, so we will adjourn at that point in time. We will not be coming back into this room.